very good evening to all of you who are joining us for this Instagram live questions and answers session from India. And my warm greetings to all of you who are joining from other parts of the world. It is my great pleasure, privilege, and honor to be with all of you once again for a live interaction with each and every single one of you, if time permits, of course. Most times I'm kind of speaking or I'm interacting with some other guests when we are live, and it is very difficult for me to take your questions at such point of time, and I'm sure there's so many questions, queries, doubts that you may have in your mind. So let's take this time today, this particular session, where you can kind of raise your questions, you can ask your queries, you can clarify your doubts, you can probably raise your challenges, and we can see how we can try and answer those questions and clarify those doubts. But before we begin, once again, remember, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands regularly, sanitize your hands, use masks wherever required, practice social distancing, and keep yourself safe and healthy, keep your family safe and healthy, and keep everybody else around you safe and healthy as well. What I'm going to try and do today is, if any of you want to ask a question by joining in live where I can see you and answer your question, that'll be great as well. But we could probably begin with a question which is being asked right here in the comments. So I'm waiting for any questions if you have, and we will start the questions and answers, the Q&A session right away. Aniksha, thank you for joining. Enemy, hi. Octa, Ruksana, thank you very much for joining. Ranbir Mishra, very, very happy to see you here. Kritika, very glad that you've joined us this evening. Arvind, thank you. Sanyol, Vaibhav, very grateful that you've taken your time out this evening to be with us. Ankush Khurana, very, very happy that you've joined us as well. Rishikesh Patil, Spavish, Prachi Joshi, Ashish Singh, thank you very much for once again being with us. Arshad, very, very happy that you've also taken out your time. Foreman Pandey ji, B. Sayantan, Ishal Sayed, very happy that you're here. Good evening to Ganesh. Anoka Mohan, very happy that you're here with us as well. Shailendra, thank you for joining. And Shubham, thank you again. Man of Hearts, Jahjaga, Mr. Alfie Jacob. So here we'll take a start with this first question. I'm having a problem with overthinking. Alfie, Mr. Jacob is asking us, I have this problem with overthinking, and how can one overcome this problem of overthinking? I think what happens with a lot of us is we get conditioned to live our lives in certain ways. It becomes a part of us, it becomes a habit, we become conditioned to it, and it's very difficult to come out of that particular habit. It's very difficult to come out of that conditioning. In this particular case, the example being overthinking. And therefore, if we are meant to come out of any habit, here overthinking, we have to start our process of practicing how to get out of it in a micro way for a macro transformation or for a large transformation. But how in particular would we deal with this habit of overthinking? The first thing that comes to my mind is, usually we are thinking a lot when we do not have enough to do. Not to say, Jacob, that you don't have enough to do, but when we are not occupied with things outside, then we are a lot occupied with the mind inside. Which is why when we are wanting to overcome the habit of overthinking, it is important that we also have occupation. We occupy ourselves outside. We take up something to learn. We take up the process of making deeper relationships or conversing with people, communicating with people. We take up something in a way that our mind is not going to go into the loop of overthinking. So yes, the first thing that we could do is occupy ourselves with things outside, whatever it could be for you, and you will see that the benefit of it would be that the process of overthinking inside will slowly kind of start reducing, because now the mind is focused on something outside. So if you're not focusing on something outside and doing something constructive and doing something meaningful and doing something valuable, then the mind is going to constantly go into the loop of overthinking. So I think that's something that we could definitely try. The second thing, in order to overcome overthinking, is that it's like if we feed the thoughts, they grow fat. Like if you have a dog And if you keep feeding the dog is going to go fat. In fact, all of us are sitting at home right now, and we should be careful of avoiding binge eating, because in the 21 days, certainly we'll probably be saved from corona, but we will increase our weight and probably get obese. So yes, the more we feed somebody, that person, that animal is going to grow fat. So the more we feed our thoughts, they become fatter, they get more and more active. The mind is like a child. The more the child cries and we pay attention to the child starts crying even more. If you ever seen a child who gets hurt, like a child falls and the child gets hurt or wounded, you will find that the child starts making a ruckus, the child starts crying to get attention from the mother. If the mother pays attention, of course, if there's something serious, the mother must pay attention to the child and nurse the wound. But sometimes it's not even a serious wound, and children are just creating a scene to get attention from the mother. Now, if the mother pays attention to such a small thing, you know that the child is going to increase the volume and intensity of crying. It is a drama there, guys. And therefore, if the mother neglects the child, look again, mind you, when we are talking about mother neglecting the child, not in a serious injury or a serious situation, but in a situation where the child is creating unnecessary drama over trivia and over something insignificant and small, if the mother neglects that child's crying, the child's going to go from if you've noticed this does happen, right? And therefore, the mind is exactly like that. The more we pay attention to the mind, the more we pay attention to the thoughts of the mind is going to put us into that loop of overthinking, and the child is like mind will create a huge drama, huge scene inside. Worry, anxiety, stress, frustration will all overcome us inside because we are paying a lot of attention to those thoughts. But just like the mother, if we neglect those thoughts, of course, mind you again, if the thoughts are serious, if the thoughts need attention, we must pay attention to the thoughts, to resolve them and to take care of them, just like the mother will take care of the injury of the child if it's serious. But if it's not serious and if it's trivia, sometimes we give undue importance to the trivia inside. Let's learn to neglect those thoughts. Let's learn to not pay that much attention to those thoughts. Let's learn to not feed those thoughts and make them fatter and stronger. So the second thing that we could be doing in terms of neglecting those insignificant, trivial, smaller thoughts that we have inside is that we don't pay much attention to them, like the mother not paying attention to the child's crying. Now, how does one not pay attention? I think meditation helps a lot, because in meditation, when we are trying to meditate, the thoughts are going all over the place. One of the most difficult challenge in trying to meditate is that mind is all over the place. And yes, in particular, when you're trying to meditate, there's a lot of overthinking going on. Everything under the sun comes to you when you're wanting to be thoughtless, when you're wanting to take thoughts of your mind. I'm sure many of you are vouching for this, that it's a fact that, you sit to meditate, you close your eyes and you're trying to just take everything off your mind, and you see suddenly, you think about the income tax, you think about the plumber who's not come, you think about the fight you had with your spouse, with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you think about the education of your kids, you think about what's happening in different parts of the world, you think about the global pandemic, you think about the slowing economy. So many thoughts keep going in our minds at that point of time. And therefore, I think meditation is a very powerful process, because it puts us into the habit of bringing our mind back from the unnecessary thoughts that are going all over our mind. You know what? Meditation trains us to bring the mind back on the track. Just like a railway train, when it is on the track, it reaches its destination. Similarly, the mind must be on the track. And precisely, which is where the origin of the word mindfulness is, to be in the present. The more you are in the present, your mind is not going to go into the past and the future and indulge in overthinking. So yes, meditation will also be an incredible process to be able to help you sort out this problem of overthinking. So to summarize, two things. Number one is to keep your mind occupied with something outside of you, so that your mind is not too much focused insight on the overthinking that's going on. And number two is to learn to neglect the mind like a mother neglects the trivial injuries or the trivial things of a child who's creating a scene. And the way to neglect is to train your mind by the process of meditation, because meditation trains you to be in the present. So thank you very much, Jacob, for asking that question, and I hope many of you probably got the answer on how to stop the process of overthinking. Of course, it's more detailed than this, but this is just a taster. We're going to try and see if one of you wants to join us for asking a question. Wants to come on live and ask a question, we'll have you, Shivram Shabad, if you want to come on. I've sent a request to you to ask your question. Yes, Shivam. Yes, Shivam. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I wanna ask about the my life. I'm just not able to study whatever I'm being means. I love maths, but I'm not able to do that. So what will be the problem?
Okay. Okay. I think a lot of students face this problem with not being able to study, not being able to focus, not being able to concentrate, right? How are we going
Yeah,
to be able to focus more? How are we going to be able to concentrate more in our studies? I think, have you ever been distracted when you're watching a favorite show on Netflix?
yeah, sir.
When you're watching a favorite show on Netflix, does your mind waver or is your mind focused? You love the
Yeah,
show. It's focused. When you're eating your favorite ice cream flavor, which you love so much, is your mind wavering or is it focused?
it's focused.
It's focused. When you talk to someone whom you truly love, I'm not going to ask who, I'm not
Yeah,
going to ask who, but but if you talk to someone whom you truly love, right, and you're spending time with someone whom you truly love, is your mind here and there or is it focused?
it's focused.
It's focused. So the process of focus and concentration lies in the bottom line of loving what we do and taking deep interest in what we do, correct? If we are not
Yes.
interested and if we do not like to do something, that's when we are distracted a lot. Like, I know we're not going to be interested in all subjects for sure. Someone will not like one subject and someone will like some subject. And subjects that you do not like, you will probably have to look for certain areas of interest in that particular subject so that you develop some focus and concentration in it. And for subjects that you like you said, you love maths, right? You will just have to once.
I, I'm I'm afraid of my maths.
You're afraid, but you said you love maths, right?
I love to do, but I'm afraid. Even though I want to do MPC, but I'm afraid of doing that.
Correct. Why are you afraid, if I might ask you? What's your fear?
I can't just do the sums. I am afraid when I see the sum, I just get panic.
Correct. And this is not even your exam, right?
Yeah,
You should, if at all you have to panic, you should be panicking in the exam, right?
yeah,
If at all, I'm not saying you should panic in your exams, but if at all you have to panic, you should be panicking in your exams, right?
yes,
Right now, there's nobody evaluating you. Right now, there's nobody giving you marks. There's right now nothing at stake. Right now, you're not going to lose anything whether you get the sum right or you get the sum wrong. So why are you afraid? Correct?
actually, even in my home, they pressurize me like anything
Correct.
to get.
So that's the thing. So don't take that pressure. Correct. I know a lot of Indian households. There's a lot of pressure from parents in terms of doing this or doing that. Don't take that pressure. If you love
Yeah,
maths, get interested into your maths. Give your full attention to maths. Nothing's at stake. You're not going to lose anything. Don't panic. Give your full attention to solving your sums right. And if you get
yeah.
them right, then there's no need to panic in the exams anyways. Correct?
Even sir, I want to. Excuse me, sir.
No. Yes.
Even how can I trust a loved one? Even they
Okay,
are.
that's a different question. Now I'll take another question from someone and then probably get back to you. Is that okay? Because I answered one
Yeah,
of your questions now. Yeah, fine.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so we have somebody. Is there anybody else who wants to join us online? Can you kindly go off the screen so that somebody else can join? Is that okay?
Yeah, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, as he goes off, we're going to try and see questions. There's somebody else asking me a question. Here we have a question from Annie Bhatia, who's asking me, is being selfish in love a bad thing? Right? Can you kindly go off the screen, young man? Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
brilliant. Yes, good. Thank you. So this question is it all right to be selfish in love? My take on this is you cannot be selfless unless you're selfish. I've always said this. When you're taking a flight, the members of the cabin crew make safety announcements. And sometimes, like, I've taken so many flights in my life that if one of the members of the cabin crew is absent, probably I'll play the role, get there, and start making the safety announcements myself, guys. One of the safety announcements that I definitely like and love in the context of the question that you've asked is this. They make an announcement saying if there be a lack of oxygen supply in the cabin, oxygen masks will deploy from the panel above your head. Pull the mask sharply towards yourself to activate the flow of oxygen. Secure the mask on your face and your nose and breathe normally. Make sure that your mask is securely fastened before you help children, infants, or others. Whenever I've heard that announcement, it is reiterated and re emphasized a very crucial and an important principle that we are not going to be able to do anything for others unless we do things for our own selves. So unless you put your mask in place, you're not going to be able to put the mask on others. Now, when I heard this announcement for the first time, I was wondering, this is selfish, isn't it? How can you be doing this, man? Come on. Why should I be thinking only about myself? Because if I don't think about myself, I'm not going to be able to think about others. And which is why it is important that we are not selfish, and it is also important that we are not totally selfless, or we cannot be totally selfless. There's a space in between, and the space in between is to be selfishly selfless. We are selfish so that we can be selfless. I'm selfish. It seems that I'm selfish because I'm wanting to earn more and more money. I'm very ambitious. I'm trying to work harder and harder to get more and more money. That's the selfish side of it. But why? So that I can share, I can serve, I can contribute, I can be an instrument of compassion, I can make a difference in somebody's life. I want to be loved. I want to be appreciated. I want to get that because when I feel satisfied, when I feel loved, then I'm also going to be able to share that love with others. So, yes, I'm probably being selfish in expecting that people love me. But when I feel loved, I will also be able to share that love with others. But you must know, Annie, that there's also a catch in that. The more we depend on others to love us, and the more we depend on others to appreciate us, the more we depend on others to validate us, we are also sowing in a seed of disappointment because there'll be times when people won't appreciate us. There'll be times when people won't express their affection for us. There'll be times when people won't validate what we are doing. What then? Which is why you have to also go beyond wanting people to love you to find your own self love, to start loving yourself so genuinely, to start accepting yourself so totally and completely, to start discovering yourself in such an incredibly holistic way that now, whether they love you or not, whether they appreciate you or not, you are able to love them, you are able to appreciate them, you are able to give them. But the basic principle still remains selfishly selfless. When we have, shall we be able to give? In the example of money, it's easier to understand. When we have, then we'll be able to give. In the example of love, also, it's easy to understand. When we have, will we be able to give? And in having these two ways, A is receiving it from others, and B is that we try to find it within ourselves by understanding who we are and practicing self-love. I hope that clarifies your doubt, Annie. We're going to ask and request one more person to come and join us. Okay. Now we're going to try and see who we get. Okay, we're going to ask one lady. We had a gentleman. Neha Soni, I've just sent a request to you if you want to join us and ask your question in person. Meanwhile, as Neha is joining us, let me see if anybody else has. Okay, Neha, thank you for joining us this evening and such a pleasure to see you there. Yes, go ahead with your question, please.
Sir, I wanted to know that how to be confident. Many a times people come and say some negative points, and we are not able to stay confident in that situation when we go on stage or somewhere.
G. Thank you, Neha, for asking that question. And I'm sure a lot of you probably have a similar question. That it is very difficult for us to be confident, right?
Yes.
Let's say, for example, we go on stage. Is it okay to stay in one place so that people don't get distracted, Neha? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Just remain there. Yes. Otherwise, if you keep moving around too much, be a lot of distraction. Yes. We all have that question, like how to maintain our confidence and how to keep our confidence. Sometimes people speak negative about us. कई बार लोग हमारे बारे में negative कहते हैं. मैं कई बार कहता हूँ कि अगर लोग हमारे बारे में क्या सोच रहे हैं, ये भी हम सोचेंगे, तो वो क्या सोचेंगे? If we think about what they think about us, what will remain for them to think, guys? And therefore, it is crucial and important that we do not depend too much on what people think about us, what people say about us, of course, if people are giving us constructive feedback, if people are talking about us is important for us to understand, we must definitely look into it and we must definitely improve on that aspect. But at other times, people are going to say something anyways. कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना, छोड़ो बेकार की बातों में कहीं बीत न जाए रहना. People are going to say something at all times anyways. So do not allow people to disturb your peace. Do not allow people to disturb your joy. Do not allow people to disturb your confidence. You tune into who you are. You tune into your own capacity. You tune into your own abilities. You be in complete sync with your skill sets, your abilities. And when you're in complete sync with who you are and you're expressing yourself, whatever you do, people are going to say something. Like I'm answering a question. Some people may agree with me, some people may not agree with me. But people who are not agreeing with me will not shake my confidence because I'm expressing myself and I'm completely tuned to and in sync with what I believe in and who I am and my expressing the wisdom that I have learned. So our confidence gets shaken by what others' opinions are and what people say about us and the negative things that they speak about us, the criticism that they bring to us, because we are not in total sync with ourselves. We are not in total sync with our abilities, with our capacity. We are not in total sync with our complete self-expression of what we can do. If I'm a speaker and an orator, I should be confident of what I'm doing if I'm in complete sync with my ability to speak. If I'm a singer, I should be totally confident of my singing and the notes that come out of my mouth if I'm in total sync with my ability to sing, and so on and so forth. So yes, if the feedback is valuable, if it's constructive, if it has meaning, listen to them. But if the feedback is either out of time pass when they have nothing else to do, if the feedback is out of envy, insecurity, if the feedback is from some lukha who has nothing to do, don't worry. Don't allow them to shake your confidence, and you'll not allow them only if you are in total sync with what you love to do, right? So that's my answer to your question, Neha. So thank you very much for asking the question. We're going to take one more individual question, if that's possible for us to add. Okay, let me check who we can pick up. Okay, we're going to pick up this gentleman here. His name is Akash Spellman. Okay, Akash, I've sent a request to you, and if you want to join us and ask your question to us, we would be honored.
Hi,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
Akash. Hi, Akash. Good evening. Such a pleasure to see you.
Hi, Prabhuji. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm fine.
Okay, Good.
My question is that how to face a failure. Whenever I face a failure, I mean for a long time, if I have a success, I'll be happy. But once I face a failure, I'll be just depressed. I mean, not depressed, disappointed.
Sure.
And how to face it.
Sure. Thank you,
And how
Akash,
to
asking
not
that
feel
question.
bad.
Yes, thank you. It's a fact that when we face a failure, we are going to feel disappointed. We are going to feel depressed. We are going to feel sad. जब भी हम failure face करते हैं तो मायूस होना normal है. You know, to feel bad and dejected and disappointed is normal. To stay disappointed is abnormal. मायूस लगना normal है. मायूस रहना abnormal. So when you fail and you feel depressed and you feel dejected for a few days, it's fine. Correct? It's normal. उसको ज्यादा फाइट करने की जरूरत नहीं है. हम लोग ह्यूमन बीइंग हैं और ह्यूमन बीइंग में ऐसा होता है. Right? And therefore, after that phase, how quickly do you come back to your normal is how evolved you are. तभी वो तो हो गया, बीती बात हो गई. बीती बात पर रोने से वो वापस तो आने वाली है. उसमें से उठ के फिर शुरू करना पड़ेगा. Start back again. Correct? Just like a child when he starts learning to walk. वो बच्चा गिर जाता है और कभी रोने लगता है, मायूस होता है. ठीक है ना? लेकिन अगर बैठा रहेगा तो चलना सीखेगा ही. So it's okay to be depressed. It is
और प्रभु जी मेरा एक और क्वेश्चन है.
But don't remain disappointed. Okay? All right. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye, Prabhu ji.
Bye. Okay. We're going to have someone else also coming in and asking us a question. I'm going to go with Sajan Raja and add him. Sajan, if you want to come on and ask your question, I'll be very happy to answer your question as well. Sajan, such a pleasure to see you. Sajan is a very good friend of mine from London, and I just saw him recently. He's a budding actor. Yes, Sajan.
Hi, Gaur Gopal, brother.
Hi.
So I'd just like to ask, how can we stay connected with ourselves more during a time of isolation? Because it's very easy to use this opportunity to stay distracted with external things and not use it as an opportunity to connect with ourselves. So how can we do that?
Correct. Thank you, Sajan, for that question. And I'm sure a lot of people out there are wanting to get the answer to that question. Yeah. How do we not stay distracted and lose this opportunity that we've gotten, right? Yeah. After so long, we've always wanted to work on ourselves. Some of us have wanted to work on our physical fitness. Some of us have wanted to find out what we are meant for and do some reflection and do some self-discovery. Some of us have wanted to probably start a spiritual practice. Some of us have wanted to spend time with our family, whatever aspect we wanted to do. But as soon as we get that time, trust me, it is hard.
Yeah.
It is hard because we're just not used to doing it, right? Whatever we are used to doing for a long time is what we get great at.
Yeah.
So we have become great at distraction because we have practiced distraction all the time. And now suddenly we have all the time to focus on something, but we've got so conditioned and habituated to distraction that to bring our focus to do one thing that we want to do, to connect to ourselves, becomes a challenge. Correct?
Never.
Which is precisely why at this point of time in particular, we need to inculcate a discipline in ourselves. We're not going to be able to stay focused unless we do something by a discipline, right? I've started my workouts very seriously, right? And this week I've worked out for 5 days. Last week I worked out for 4 days. The next week my target is 6 days because I put it as a discipline in my schedule, right?
You're looking very fresh-faced.
Oh, thank you, Sergeant. Thank you. I need to lose a lot of fat out here.
No, looking good. Looking good.
Trust me, we have to inculcate a discipline. So if we're talking about connecting to our own self, right, we'll have to reserve a time during the day for it. It's not going to happen automatically. What will happen automatically is a casual chat with family.
Yeah.
What will happen automatically is some meaningless gossip.
Yeah.
What is going to happen automatically is just browsing and scrolling through unnecessary WhatsApp forwards. What's going to happen automatically is just chilling with Netflix, Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Disney TV.
Yeah.
Right? What's going to happen automatically is to hit the bed and fall asleep. What's going to happen automatically is
My
binge
brother.
eating. Oh yes, hi bro, how are you? Good to see you, man. You know what's going to happen automatically? Just hitting the bed and just falling asleep, right? All these things are automatic. You don't have to work hard to do these things.
Yeah.
But to do anything meaningful, you're going to have to work harder.
But effort.
And you're going to have to put it in your schedule as a discipline. And since you're talking about connecting to your own self, you'll have to reserve time for that. And connecting to yourself can be done in 2-3 ways. One, you can do it by self-reflection, which is just deep introspection. They're just remaining in your room and just quiet, where there's no sound, no noise, and just thinking deeply about your life and jotting your thoughts down in the form of a journal. Because your thoughts, you'll think about it and you'll forget it, right? And you won't be able to remember what you've thought. So as you're thinking, start writing. Don't process it, just write. Don't process your thoughts. Don't think, let this thought come, then I'll write it down. Just write, correct?
Wow, yeah.
Journal writing is a very good way of connecting to yourself. So spare some time for doing that every day. If it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, but schedule it, right?
Yeah.
And the second way of connecting to yourself is meditation, chanting, prayer, whatever it is for you. Make sure you schedule it in your daily routine. And I think you'll be able to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, Gaur Gopal.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Good to see you. Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a great day ahead. Bye. Bye. All right, we're going to have someone else coming in. We have Sarmad Shah joining us all the way from Pakistan. Yes, Sarmad, waiting for you. Okay, brilliant. Yes, Sarmad. Such a pleasure to see you there.
Namaskar, Guruji. Thank you so
Namaskar.
much.
Thank you, Sarmad. Thank you.
I have a question.
I think there's a poor internet connection. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question that Guruji, usually the betrayal comes from a family member. How to deal with such toxic relationships?
Yeah. How to deal with toxic behavior that comes from family members? Is that your question?
Exactly. Yes.
Yes. You know, I read one very nice share once. It said, लोग बदलते नहीं है जी, लोग बदलते नहीं गालिब, केवल उनका नकाब गिर जाता है और वो बेनकाब हो जाते हैं. You know, people don't change. Simply their mask falls off. And very often we see that people put a mask on themselves and deal with us in a certain way. We trust them, we have faith in them, we connect to them, we invest in that relationship, and at a certain point of time we realize that the mask falls off. लोग बदलते नहीं हैं गालिब, केवल बेनकाब हो जाते हैं बस. इसीलिए खुदा अगर ऐसा आईना बना देता ना, जिसमें लोगों के चेहरे नहीं उनके किरदार दिखाई पड़ते, तो किसमें विश्वास करना और किसमें विश्वास नहीं करना ही समझ में आ जाता है. If God would have probably created a mirror where we would be able to not just see people's face, we would probably know whom to trust and whom not to trust. And therefore, betrayal is a common thing because people sometimes connect out of ulterior motives, right? And at a certain point of time, when their mask falls off, we are able to see their ulterior motives. We are able to see their true side. We are able to see their ugly self. How does one deal with such kind of betrayal? That's a brilliant question, Sarmad. So thank you very much for asking that question. Number one, if we are facing betrayal from a close family member, the first thing that we need to do is separate perception from reality. Often we could be a victim of perception. We may probably be perceiving that that person is betraying us, whereas that person, he or she, is not betraying us. Correct? So first separate perception from reality. सच्चाई को कल्पना से दूर करो. कई बार ये मेरे मन में कल्पना होती है कि वो ऐसा कर रहा है, बल्कि सच्चाई ऐसी होती है कि वो वैसा नहीं कर रहा. करेक्ट? तो सच्चाई को कल्पना से दूर कीजिए, अलग अलग कीजिए. सेपरेट परसेप्शन एंड रियलिटी. करेक्ट? इफ इट इज अ परसेप्शन ओनली, अगर आपको समझ में आता है कि इट वाज जस्ट माय mind's imagination, no problem, right? Go ahead and maintain that relationship, connect that to that person and invest in that relationship. But after doing due deliberation, if you find out that it was not just your perception, but it was an objective reality, then how do you deal with it? Correct? If it is a reality, here's the second step. A, try and separate perception from reality. If it's not a perception, but if it's a reality, in reality, the second step is see if you want to give another chance. If it's one time, see if it's possible for you to give another chance. Everybody is human, right? And human beings make mistakes. मैं कई बार हिंदी में कहता हूँ जी कि भूल करना प्रकृति है, मान लेना संस्कृति है, और सुधार लेना प्रगति है. To make a mistake is our nature. भूल करना प्रकृति है, सबसे होती है. Like the person's made a mistake by betraying us, we probably have made a mistake as well, right? So भूल होना प्रकृति है, मान लेना संस्कृति है. Is the other person willing to accept, right? The symptom of an evolved human being is if there is regret, if there is remorse, the other person is willing to accept. If that other person is willing to accept, then sudhar lena pragati hai. If that person is willing to work on it, change, transform, and make the relationship work again, fantastic. So give a chance. Give a chance. Again, it's up to you, right? If it's one-off mistakes, we can give a chance. If it's a smaller mistake, we can give a chance. If it's a bigger mistake, sometimes unpardonable mistake, it's an individual choice whether to give a chance or not. But second point is, it is worth giving a chance. The third point is, after giving a chance, the person still cheats, the person still betrays, the person still abuses the trust that you put in them. I don't think they deserve a chance again. It's time to move on and move out of that relationship. We do not want to be surrounded by such toxic people. The challenge is when they are family. The challenge is when they are around us, which is where we will have to be extra cautious, extra careful. We'll have to be extra alert that we do not become a doormat. We do not become a victim of their machinations, right? And therefore, when they're in the family, it's not as easy to move out and move on because they're going to be around us. If it's close family, even harder. If it's extended family, it's a little easier, but it's still going to be around different functions at different points of time. So be extra careful, extra alert, extra attentive to not be used by them. And then yes, it's a hi-hello relationship. No longer can we connect deeply. So when you're dealing with betrayal, here are the 3 steps, Sarmad. Number 1 is separate perception from reality. If it's a perception, let go and continue the relationship. If it's a reality, point number 2, if you want to, give a chance so that the person rectifies. If he is accepting or she is accepting that they made a mistake and they want a chance to improve and rectify, give a chance if you're willing to. And if they still abuse that chance, then probably it's time to move on and move out wherever possible. Step 3. And step 4, if you cannot move on and move out, then disconnect from them internally. Do whatever is the needful in a hi-hello way. Be extra careful, extra attentive, extra alert so that you do not become a doormat and you do not be abused by their vicious plans. Thank you for asking that question. We're going to take one more, maybe 2 more questions and stop here. But guys, we're going to have some special surprises next week. On Monday, we're inviting a very, very special guest to talk about relationships and emotional wellness. I'll be putting it up as a story on Instagram tomorrow. So stay tuned to get a special surprise for Monday. And on Thursday next week, we're also going to have a very special surprise all the way from the United States of America, joining us for our discussion in terms of how to face challenges and how to remain determined in the face of difficulties and troubling times. So stay tuned to announcements on our Insta stories in terms of who are going to be our guests on Monday and Thursday, both extremely special guests, guys. Stay tuned to know who they are. But we're going to quickly take 2 more questions before we end this evening's Q&A session. Thank you all very much for excuse me, staying tuned and staying with us. Winky, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Sushmita, thank you. Sahu, Vivek, very grateful to have you. Bhavya, Ankit, very, very grateful that you've joined us this evening. Very happy, Pooja, that you have taken your time out to be with us this evening. Ravi, Jaju, Ishan, very, very, very grateful. Simi, Hare Krishna, very grateful that all of you are with us here this evening. So I'm going to take one more question quickly for Kadambari from Nagpur. Waiting for Kadambari. Kadambari, I've sent you that request. If you want to kindly join us and ask your question. Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Namaste.
Namaste, Ji.
How are you?
I'm good. And how are you doing?
All good. Do you remember me?
Of course I do. I do.
I wanted to ask a question. So I'm reading Prabhu Acharya ji's book on mind, ego, and intelligence.
Okay.
So I wanted to understand your perception of what is the connection between mind, ego, and intelligence.
Okay. What is the connection between mind, ego, and intelligence, right?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Oh, thank you very much for that question. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? How's your health?
Yeah, I'm good. And I hope you're doing well in this lockdown time as well. Yeah?
Yeah, I have a lot of time on hand now.
Brilliant. And I'm sure you're spending a lot of time with your lovely angels now.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So what is the connection between the ego, the mind, and the intelligence, right?
Yes.
So in order to understand it carefully, let us look at it from the perspective of our entire self, correct? Our entire self is divided into several levels. The first self is our physical self, which is our body,
Yes.
correct? Our body is nothing but dead matter. Our body is not able to do anything by itself. If the body were to be able to do anything by itself, a dead body would speak, a dead body would think, a dead body would talk, a dead body would see, correct? Because the body is still there, right? So our physical self or our physical body is simply dead matter, correct? Now, beyond the physical self or the body is our mind, correct?
Yes.
Which our mind is the place where there are thoughts coming in and going in, right? There are experiences that are stored in the mind, right? We have a good experience, we enjoy something. We have a bad experience, we do not enjoy it that much, correct? So if I'll give you an example. You're walking on the street and you see a Baskin Robbins shop, correct? And somebody is having ice cream and the doors open, so the wind or the breeze carries that fragrance to you as well, correct? So the fragrance of the ice cream enters into your nostrils, right? And now you want to eat that ice cream, correct? Is it the nose that decided I want to eat the ice cream?
No, the mind decided.
No. Is it the tongue that decided that I want to eat the ice cream? No. It is I who decided I want to eat that ice cream, right?
Yes.
That I is the ego, right?
Okay.
It's I who am deciding. Ego is always represented by that letter I, correct?
Yes.
So it's I who decide. I want to eat the ice cream. I want to watch a movie. I want to talk to such and such person. I want to attend a party. I want to wear these clothes. I want to buy this. I don't want to buy this. It's that I, correct? And that I is a part of my spiritual self or my soul, correct?
Yes.
Now, that ego, when it says that I am the boss, I am the master, I should be in control, everything is mine, sab kuch mera hai, that's called the false ego or the wrong ego.
Yes.
But when I start to understand that I am the spiritual self, I am the soul. I am a spiritual spark. I'm meant to be living in harmony with God. I'm meant to be living in harmony with nature. I'm meant to be living in harmony with the world around me. That's the right
Yes.
kind of ego. So when we talk about ego, we are always talking about ego is bad. Ego is not bad. Ego is neither good or bad. Ego is the sense of I, which is a part of my soul. Right? Which is why you say, I speak, I do this, I want it, I don't want it, just a part of me. Right? But when that ego is directed towards selfish aggrandizement, that is false ego or wrong ego. When that ego is directed towards the right kind of things, in connecting to yourself, in connecting to higher powers, in trying to do something for others, in trying to live by the right values, then that's the right kind of ego. Correct? So when you go out in the street out there, the person who's making the desire is the soul through your ego. That's your I. I want to eat that ice cream. It's not the nose, obviously. And the experience is not had by the tongue, obviously. When you put the ice cream on the tongue, it's not the tongue that's tasting it, because if you put the same ice cream on a dead body's tongue, will that dead body have that experience? No. So the physical body doesn't experience anything at all. When you see something beautiful, it's not the eyes that are experiencing it. When you smell something beautiful, it's not the nose that's experiencing it. When you're tasting something nice, it's not the tongue that's experiencing it. You know what I mean? It's just dead matter, right? So it's you, the soul, with your sense of ego that you're experiencing it, correct? Now, in between the ego of your soul, beyond your soul is the ego. In between the soul and the ego and your physical self, or the physical body, are two other elements in between, which is the mind and the intelligence. Correct? So then when you smell that ice cream, right, from that store, instantly you feel, I want to eat that ice cream. So the ego now is connecting to the mind. And then the mind is saying, kha lete hai na, abhi jaate hai na, are bhi kha lena chahiye. That's when your mind starts getting active, right? It starts with your ego. The soul is just passively sitting there. The ego, which the soul is given the power to, is saying, no, okay, mind ko bol dete, mind. Okay, now the ego and the mind are working in close unison. Chalo kha lete hain, chalo chale jate hain. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, if you listen to the mind, you'll go there and you'll eat. But there's another factor there called intelligence. The intelligence tells you, कल 4 स्कूप आइसक्रीम खाया था ना, कैलोरी का भी कॉन्शियस होना चाहिए ना.
Yeah.
Correct? So the mind is simply desiring in connection to the ego, but the function of the intelligence is to discriminate whether it's right or wrong for me. Correct? So the intelligence says, okay, I read a book by Rujuta Divekar, don't lose your mind, lose your weight. And she was talking about not to eat like this. She was talking about this and this particular kind of diet. Your intelligence keeps telling you, your mind, right? And then the mind keeps giving reason. अरे आज एक खा लेते ना, अभी एक से क्या होगा, कल खाया था, मंडे से फिर वर्कआउट करेंगे, मंडे से छोड़ देंगे आइसक्रीम खाना. Have you ever had that mind and intelligence kind of debate inside?
A lot of times.
A lot of times. A lot of times indeed, isn't it? So
Particularly to food, I guess, and starting off
food,
with
and it's about everything. You're getting up in the morning, the alarm clock. When you want to say something to someone, when you're angry, the mind is saying, bol de. Intelligence saying, nahi, sahi nahi hai, chup rahe. You know? So it's going on all the time within us, right? So here's what we need to do. We need to strengthen our higher self. Our higher self is made up of externals and internals. Externally, the higher self is the right kind of company which is sharpening our intelligence in the right way. Otherwise, the intelligence will join the mind and your ego to go and do what's wrong. I'm not saying eating ice cream is wrong, binge eating ice cream is wrong, I'm saying, right? So, which is why the right kind of company is your external higher self. The right kind of mentors, guides, gurus is your external higher self to guide you. The right kind of books, spiritual books, the right kind of motivational books, the right kind of movies, the right kind of motivational videos is your external higher self, correct? And then there is your internal higher self, which is your intelligence, correct? So you're using the external higher self to strengthen your internal higher self, the intelligence, correct? And then you're also using the external higher self to strengthen your internal higher self, which is your soul. So when your intelligence, your soul are in harmony and working together, which means now you have the right sense of ego used for the right thing. That is when you will be in control of your life and you tell your mind no. But if your higher self is passive, the soul is sitting passively, the ego is in the wrong way, that I am the be all end all of my life, right? And then the intelligence conspiring with the mind also. Intelligence, in fact, will give you newer ideas to the mind how to go and eat. Intelligence will say, ice cream ले ले, घर में जाके थोड़ा आम डाल के खाएंगे. Does that make sense? So I think that's the entire package of the intelligence, the mind, the soul, the ego, and the physical self. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you very much, Kadambari. Great to see you. We're going to take one last question now before we end for this evening. One last quick one, whoever wants to come up online here. Okay. Top, we're going to choose one gentleman. Aman, India, I've sent a request to you. If you want to kindly join us and ask your question, it would be great. Okay, brilliant. He's connecting. Man, if you want to turn your front camera on, man. Okay. Good evening. Good evening. Hello.
Sure.
I think I have a very poor internet connection. I'm not able to hear. Sorry, it's very poor internet connection, so cannot hear him. I'm going to take someone else to see if we can quickly. One last question. Chintan Joshi, Sachin Singhal. Okay, Sachin, we're going to give it a try. If not, we end here, and we'll probably take up another Q&A session soon. I know there's so many questions, we have so many questions. I'll take Guruji, Pranam. Pranam ji. Pranam ji. I think you'll have to mute your mic because there's a reverb. How are we going to do that?
No, sir. Actually,
how are we going to do that?
Sir, I want to ask you to how to control anger.
Okay.
Because of मैंने काफी रिलेशनशिप खो दी है इस गुस्से की वजह से. मुझे पता है मुझे गुस्सा आता है और मैं सत्य भी बोलता हूँ, लेकिन कंट्रोल कैसे करूँ, ये सबसे बड़ी समस्या है मेरे लिए. मैं मेडिटेशन भी करता हूँ सुबह, आज मेडिटेशन भी करा, एक ही विचार को रखा कि कंट्रोल कैसे करूँ. बट द प्रॉब्लम इज हाउ टू कंट्रोल आवर सेल्फ टू एंगर.
Okay, sure. I think you'll have to do something with your phone. There's a echo आ रहा है. Echo आ रहा है. Mic को बंद करिए, headphone पहनिए. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So how do we control our anger? Is the question that Aman is asking. I think there's still a problem here, Aman. Maybe I'll close it and answer. Is that okay?
My name is Sachin, sir.
Okay, Sachin, sure. If I just close this and answer your question, that's fine, because it's not easy to listen for others. Okay?
No, sir, I am connected with you.
लेकिन ये जवाब में इको आ रहा है जी.
1 minute, sir.
Yes. See if you can do something. I'm happy.
Yes.
Now it's fine. Perfect now. Good. So how do we control our anger? Yes. कई बार हम मेडिटेशन करते हैं, बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं, अपने गुस्से को हम काबू में कैसे ले आए. Right? I think the first thing that I want to share with all of you is whenever we are angry, there is a great need for us to practice this one very important golden word called wait. रुकिए, रिएक्ट मत कीजिए, क्योंकि जब दिमाग में गुस्सा होता है ना, तब हम क्या बोलते हैं, क्या करते हैं, इस पे अपना कंट्रोल नहीं होता. When our heads are hot, we do not know what we are saying and what we are doing. There's a very beautiful quote I like which says that when the head is hot, the tongue is working faster than your mind. The tongue is speaking without processing. This tongue is saying without deliberating. बिना सोचे बिना समझे हम कई ऐसी चीजें बोल देते हैं, कई ऐसी चीजें कर देते हैं जिससे हमारे रिश्तों में कड़वाहट आ जाती है, कई बार हमारे रिश्ते टूट भी जाते हैं, right? So what do we do in such a situation? Practice, learn to practice the golden word wait. Just wait. It is very crucial and important to practice this word wait. Do not react instantly. Do not express your opinions, your thoughts, your anger, your feelings instantly, because they are unprocessed. They are not deliberated on. They are not mulled over. उस पर विचार नहीं किया है, रवंथ नहीं किया है, बिना सोचे समझे वो बाहर निकल जाता है. So therefore, practice the word wait. Now, when you practice that word wait, two things can happen, right? Number one, you may realize, आपको ऐसा समझ में आ जाएगा, हो सकता है कि उनकी कोई गलती थी ही नहीं, बिना गलती के आप ही गलत फहमी से गुस्सा हो रहे थे. ऐसा भी होता है. Many times we realize that they were not wrong, but we had a wrong misunderstanding, and out of misunderstanding we were reacting. So if you wait and allow your head to cool down, you will be grateful that you didn't react at that time, because that person wasn't wrong. Correct? Now, after waiting, if you do realize that the person was wrong, अगर गलती वो व्यक्ति की गलती नहीं थी तो शुक्रिया खुदा का कि हम कुछ बोले नहीं अनाप शनाप. लेकिन अगर वास्तव में उनकी व्यक्ति की गलती थी, and if it was a mistake of that other person, if that was something that we would be upset about, then by waiting, you're allowing your head to cool down and speak to the person in a proper way. बोलने के लिए मना नहीं कर रहे, उनसे अब जो गलती है उस गलती की बात होनी चाहिए, लेकिन ठंडे दिमाग से जब करते हैं ना तो सही तरीके से करते हैं. When your head is hot, you talk about the who. When your head is cool, you talk about the what. जब दिमाग गर्म होता है ना तो व्यक्ति के बारे में बोलते हैं, तूने ऐसा किया, तुमने ऐसा किया, तुमने ऐसा किया. जब दिमाग ठंडा हो जाता है ना तो तुमने या मैंने क्या किया नहीं देखते, क्या गलती हुई उसको देखते हैं और कैसे सुधारते हैं, इस पे बातचीत होती है. So when the head is hot, we are concerned about the who. When the head is cool, we are concerned about the what. And which is why it is important to wait. शांति से अगर रुकेंगे तो ठंडे दिमाग से बात कर सकते हैं और तीन चीजें बातों में लानी चाहिए. When you are upset with somebody, talk to them with this formula called the what, how, why message. Right? What, why, how message. When you communicate, firstly, tell them what about them is making you upset. उनके बारे में, उनका नेचर, उनका स्वभाव, उनकी बातें, उनकी गलती, what is making you upset. Correct? Second, tell them why is it making you upset. You're upset about it, fine, but why is it making you upset? Somebody says something to me, I'm upset about it, but the other person who may have heard similar may not be upset. But then you'll have to say, why am I upset? Because this is my nature. This is how I was brought up. So this thing is not easy for me to tolerate. And thirdly, how can we solve this in a way that it does not happen again? इसको अभी हम कैसे निपटा सके ताकि अगली बार फिर से नहीं हो. So the what, why, how message means, what about you is making me angry or upset? Why is this making me angry or upset? And how can you change and I change in a way that we can resolve this and peacefully continue with that relationship? The problem is, we can follow this, ये सब सही बातें हैं, समझ में आती है, लेकिन जब गुस्सा आता है तो सब evaporate हो जाता है. We know this, we hear this, we talk about it, but when we are angry, everything just goes down the drain. So what do we do at that point of time when we are angry? If possible, in some cases it may not be possible. If it is possible, then leave that place. उस जगह से चले जाइए, क्योंकि अगर वहां खड़े रहेंगे तो कुछ तो बकेंगे जरूर. Right? So leave that place if the situation allows you. Sometimes situations may not allow you, but if the situation does allow you, leave that place. Correct? Second, practice breathing. Conscious breathing. Take deep breaths in and deep breath out. Inhale and exhale properly and consciously, because the process of conscious deep breathing slows down the mind and pacifies and calms down the mind. In fact, I even recommend Anulom Vilom Pranayama. But that's only when you're not with that person. नहीं तो गुस्सा हो रहा है, उधर कोई person चिल्ला रहा है, उसके सामने अनुलोम विलोम करने लगेगा, झापड़ खाएगा वो. Right? So therefore, it's crucial that if your situation allows you, move on and practice conscious breathing. It does allow you to cool down, and it does allow you to kind of stabilize your mind. And on a daily basis, practice meditation, have a spiritual practice, which will give you the strength to remain strong from inside. But trust me, हम लोग सब मनुष्य है, we are all human beings, हम लोग सब इंसान है, गुस्सा आना normal है.
If you want another amazing video highlighting excellence in the Indian community, check it out right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.